Breaking news! Many Americans are upset about tipping culture, saying it's getting out of hand. It used to be just for waiters at restaurants, but now it's expected almost everywhere, like in taxis, at golf courses, and even in grocery stores. This is confusing for both Americans and visitors from other countries. The problem has gotten worse because of digital payments, with tip prompts popping up everywhere, even in places where you wouldn't think to tip. Like when you buy things at a store or use self-checkout. During the pandemic, it was understandable to give a little extra in tips to help struggling businesses. But now, it feels like we're expected to tip for everything, and it's starting to annoy people. You might even have to tip for simple things like buying ice cream, which shows how tipping in the US has become excessive. Even though many people agree that tipping has become a problem, there aren't any clear solutions to fix it. What do you think about all this?
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Mystery Man here, back at it again with another video. And today's topic is on tipping culture in America. I got a couple clips for you guys I'm gonna play. Of course, I'm gonna sprinkle in a couple of reactions, and my final assessment will be at the end of the video. Alright, let's get it.
Okay, can I get you anything else today?
No, that's it.
Okay, your total's gonna be $34.40, and there's gonna be a little message on the screen, and I do wanna let you know I do what's best for everybody, and I expect you to do the same. So, again, I do not know what's gonna be on the screen, so you do whatever you gotta do. Oh. Oh, the order total's still the same. Is that an accident?
No.
Oh. Okay, you don't think my service was good enough for a tip?
Great service, no tip.
Okay. Oh. Yeah, you heard that correctly. No tip from the brown Pinto with 4 spares all around. Real bummy, messed up mustache, moistened out chains. Yeah, keep it going. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, sir, so just to make sure, we had a medium golden eagle.
Yes, sir, that's me.
All right, perfect. Your total's gonna be $7.39, and just for this next part, just be wary, it's totally optional. But like I said, this part's just optional, but you know, we accept anything. And I'm not gonna be looking. It's up to you, my man.
All right.
All right, champ. All right, champ. All right, let's see. And your total is hold on. I don't know if the system's lagging or something. It's still $7.39.
No, there's no glitch or anything.
There's not?
No.
So, did you click 15% or 10 or custom tip or what?
I did a custom one. Yeah,
Custom?
I did
Yeah, 'cause
custom.
nothing changed here. So what do you mean custom?
Yeah, I'm sorry, bro. I clicked no tip.
You greedy fucking scumbag. I'm
Bro.
gonna remember that. What car is yours?
Bro, are you good, bro?
The blue Ford Focus. Been here since 6 fucking a.m. and you couldn't fucking tip $1?
Bro, calm
Are
down.
you serious? I was standing out here in this beaming sun.
Yo, if you don't have money to tip, don't buy the fucking food, bro. I got a delivery for $2. $2. That means you literally went to the tip section and pressed 0. The fuck? I'ma piss in your food, bro.
I asked my table for a tip after they were gonna stiff me, and I don't care how much hate I get for this. Everybody talks about tipping culture this, tipping culture that. No, but let me break it down for you, okay? It's a Saturday night. I'm being told I'm gonna get a party of 16, which I said, great, bring it on. Let's go, easy money. So I thought, okay? So the party of 16 gets sat in my section. They take up 3 tables in my section. So when you get sat at a party, you usually get skipped in rotation a few times because you're dealing with a big party. I get to the table, I introduce myself, I do my whole spiel. Before I'm finished even speaking, one guy's like, whoa, hey, stop. He said, hold on. He said, you're not gonna talk to them, you're gonna talk to me. I'm gonna order everybody's food and then I'll give you the drinks. I said, okay, perfect. What are we having a drink? He said, no, I'm gonna give you the food first and then I'm gonna give you the drinks. I said, okay, perfect. What will you be having? He ordered 6 vegetarian combos, which comes 2 veggie patties, 2 protein pancakes, egg whites, and a side of fruit. He said, but we don't want egg whites. All of the egg whites, change them out for hash browns. On those hash browns, I want you to add jalapenos and onions. Great, let's do that. Then he proceeds to order 7 omelets. 7 omelets, which come with 3 pancakes each. Okay, perfect. After that, when he gives me the drinks, he orders 15 waters, no ice, 14 hot chocolates with whipped cream, and 1 regular coffee with regular milk. Okay, I said, perfect. I've sent in the order for you. He said, and make it quick because we have somewhere to be. That's where I almost lost my shit. Because how do you come out to a restaurant, order 7 omelets, and tell me to hurry up? I said, you know what, sir? There is other people in this restaurant. It probably won't come out as fast as you'd like it to, but we will definitely try our best. Okay? When I tell you that the kitchen got this food out in like that, the kitchen got this food out quick. I had 2 other servers help me run food. We were all carrying a bunch of hot plates, took it to the table. They got everything that they needed. Before the food got to their table, they all had already napkins, syrup, hot sauce. They had everything that they could have needed to enjoy their meal. So they enjoy their food, whatever. I'm checking on them. They keep saying everything's great. When it came down to give them the check, I gave the check to the guy who was like, oh, I'm going to order everything. I'm going to pay for everything. Okay, great. I gave him the check. The check was $320 with some change. And when it came to pay, he pays me cash. He gives me $321, which means no tip. And I was like, okay. So I went to the table. There's no tip at the table, anything. I said, okay, I'm going to go ask him. So I went up to him. I said, excuse me, sir. You only gave me $321. I just wanted to ensure that this was accurate. You're not going to leave any gratuity. I just wanted to make sure everything came out to your expectations. You enjoyed your food. Everything was to your liking. And, you know, I just want to make sure. He said, well, I didn't know it was mandatory. I said, no. It's not mandatory. I just wanted to ensure that this was accurate, that nobody took the tip off the table or anything like that. This man pulls out a $50 bill, gives it to me, kind of like, here's your tip and shut the fuck up, get out my face type shit, which I don't give a fuck, because how dare you go out to eat in a party of 16 on a tab of $320 and not tip? And I feel like nobody was going to believe me, so I saved the check. I'm going to show y'all. This check is literally half my size. I'm not even playing with you right now, like, okay? $320, right? Minimum 15% gratuity would have been $48. So he basically just gave me the minimum, which is fine. But if you don't got money to go to tip on your meal, don't even go out to eat. And I'm not talking like, oh, like if you're by yourself and you get a $15 meal, I'm not saying leave $30 tip. No, like not everybody's set up like that. Not everybody knows the industry. But how dare you go out to eat? 16 people, rack up a tab of $320, be rude to your fucking server, enjoy your service still, and not fucking tip. I don't care. I did what the fuck I did. I don't give a fuck. And my servers, I know y'all felt that shit. Sometimes we just gotta sit here and make sure, because the fuck, I wanted him to admit to me that he wasn't leaving me a tip on a $320 tab. I wanted him to admit to me that he came out to eat with 16 of his friends and family members and decided not to tip. I wanted him to admit it. I would have been fine. Okay, cool. That's the type of person you are. But he gave me my tip, so whatever. But nobody was gonna believe me. Look how fucking big this.
Alright guys, so you seen that, you heard that, and we're gonna talk about it for a little bit. Because these waiters and servers are getting way too entitled out here. There used to be a time in America where you could enjoy a meal with your family and friends without the pressures of tipping. It was seen as more of an option than an obligation. But nowadays, it's seen as more of a social requirement. And it's gotten so bad to the point where if you don't tip, your waiter or waitress will be visibly upset. But why? I've paid my tab, right? Am I going to jail if I don't tip you? And even if I do tip, if it's not enough, you will still complain about it. And people are getting sick of this. It already costs a lot to eat out nowadays. But now you are socially pressured to give more money to these establishments who give you mid food as it is. But anyways, let's see what other people think about tipping culture.
Do you feel pressure to tip more when you go out?
Yes. Yes, 100%.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Always, yeah. So I'm a hairstylist, but I actually work at a salon that doesn't do tipping anymore. So I actually kind of prefer not tipping. In the end, it's really just going to make it so that they can pay people less of a wage. So in the end, like tipping the server is going to end up hurting the server because now they only rely on tips.
If you're getting paid minimum wage, then more than 15% tip will get you up to a living wage if you have a busy enough business. I'd rather businesses pay, but I'm not happy to tip, but I'm absolutely willing to tip for now.
I try to go for 18 when I can.
It'd be better if the government just made the standard minimum wage standard for everyone, tipped or untipped, and then we could all tip based on the service instead of making up someone else's wages because the government won't mandate it.
I don't believe in tipping, and here's why. The other day I went to Shake Shack, placed my order on an iPad. I got absolutely no service, yet on the iPad, I got asked if I wanted to tip. And they had the audacity to start at 15, 18, or 20%. Or how about this one? I went to a bar, I bought a drink, and in my receipt has a tipping option at the bottom. But they sneakily put in a service charge right above the tipping option. So whether I want to or not, I have to tip either way. Why are they asking me to tip twice? And then there's Starbucks. So I ordered my drink, which is already like $5. And then they have the audacity to ask me to tip as well. As someone who's worked in the hospitality industry for over 5 years, I strongly believe that tipping is correlated with the service that you offer. If you're already getting paid and it's your job to take an order and hand over a coffee, why do you have to ask for a tip? I'm not against tipping in general. I appreciate when somebody goes out of their way to ask me how my meal was, and I reward that with a tip to thank them. But when I get asked for money and I get nothing in return, is that really on me?
I seriously don't believe in tipping. Tipping culture has gotten way out of control. Like, I could be doing self-checkout, and it'll ask me, oh, would you like to leave a tip? No, I don't. Why do I want to leave a tip for something I had to do? All you did was stand there and watch me check myself out, but yet you're asking for an 18, 20, 25% tip. Next, what are we gonna do? If someone asks us, oh, how are you doing? Oh, here, tip me. I just asked you a question. No. Tipping culture has gotten way out of control. When I was in Europe, tipping was just not a thing. I kind of miss that. I miss not tipping. I only believe in tipping in certain situations. I wouldn't want to tip every single person. If I did that, I would just run out of money immediately. Tipping culture in America has gotten way out of control, and it needs to come to an end. Today's Christmas. If I hand someone a Christmas present, do I pass them an iPad that says, "Hey, how do you think of this? What do you think of this? You want to tip 18, 20, 25% of the gift's value?" No, I'm not going to do that. Tipping culture needs to stop. We need to normalize not tipping here in America. I'm tired of it. I'm done. I don't want to tip you for every single thing that I do or that you do.
So tipping is just getting out of control. I was just at Starbucks picking up a coffee in the drive-thru, and I get to the front and I'm paying, and he's like, "Oh, I was just gonna ask you a quick question." And we all know what that means. Tipping, fine, but what am I tipping for? If I have to tip for this, like, what's next? Yeah, nurse, looks like we got him back. Hey, Johnny, good to see you. Hey, before we hook you up to the ventilator, it's just gonna ask you a quick question.
I'm sorry, but my pet peeve is when people corner me into tipping. So I went to Dutch Bros this morning, and the guy takes my order and all that shit, and then he just takes my card, right? He doesn't even put the screen over to me. He keeps it to himself, and he goes, "Are we tipping today?" You're fucking kidding me, right? Because you're literally cornering me. Like, I have to say yes now. Because, like, that's embarrassing. Like, he's looking at his little fucking iPad. Like, "Are we tipping today?" Like this. Like, are we tipping today? Like, what the fuck do you want me to say? No, fuck you. No tip for you. No tip for you. Like, that's fucking awkward, and now I have to give you money. And it's like, I get it, like, you should tip, but it's a fucking drive-thru, okay? And they're not even the ones making my drink. So it's like, why do you put me in an awkward position? Like, it makes me not want to go to, like, drive-thru places because it puts me in, like, a weird position. Like, I have to say yes. I know what you're thinking, Susie, grow some balls and just say no, but, like, it's just weird to say no. Like, that's basically saying someone to their face, like, fuck you. I don't know. It just bothers me. Like, it really fucking irks me when people do that. Like, it would be one thing just to, like, share the screen. Like, some people would be, like, completely optional. But no, are we tipping today? Like, that shit pissed me off, for real.
Yeah, I would be pissed off too. And they always talk a little bit extra loud when they're talking about tip. I always find myself repeating my order to people. But when it comes to that tip, they have the hearing of a blind man, for real. And no one wants to be put in that situation, especially in a drive-thru or if you're in line ordering food. And it just makes you look like an asshole, to be honest. Especially if all you did was literally hand it to me. I don't think anyone deserves a tip if you're just handing somebody food. So yeah, I feel her. She has every right to be mad.
My rule is if I stand up to order my food and I have to get it, there's probably not a very big tip in it for you. If you bring me my food, you take my order, absolutely going to give you a tip. If I'm driving through, there's no tip. You're doing your job. I came here to order a thing from you. You came here to sell a thing to me. That's great. That's the whole transaction. There is no extra transaction required. If somebody's doing service for you, you get a haircut, come clean out, that's all fine. Tip all those people. Tip your service providers where that's the norm. But the idea that I go buy a product and you hand me the product from the shelf across the counter and then I'm supposed to give you a tip, that's insane to me. I have the same opinion everybody else has on tip culture. It's out of control.
Yeah, man, I agree. Places where it's the norm, like a bar or a high-end restaurant, I do understand where tips may be expected. But now it's creeping into coffee shops and places where tips usually weren't a thing at. And the main purpose of tipping was really rewarding your server for a good experience. But they're not even giving you that good experience. They're just tossing food on your table, then handing you an iPad expecting a 50% tip. That's just not gonna work for me. But anyways, let's get back to it.
Basically, everyone agrees now that tipping is out of control, and this is why. This right here is who to blame: Square. I think it all comes down to the user interface of these Square registers. Just the fact that they give you 3 different options to tip and they're much bigger than the no tip amount. It's a psychological hack to think that, like, you should tip for this. The fact that pretty much everywhere has these, even places like ice cream shops that you didn't really used to feel like you had to tip at. You could, maybe there was a tip jar, but now it feels just awkward if you don't. And that's why it really is those Square little iPad things.
What I need people to understand is tipping is not a requirement. It is a luxury. People do not have to tip you. What part of that concept is so hard for some of y'all to grasp? And just in this week alone, I have had 2 instances that have pissed me off when it comes to tipping. The first one being, I order a pizza for delivery. I do not put in a tip when I'm ordering food online for delivery if I have cash. If pizza man knocks on the door, hands me the pizza, hands me the receipt and a pen and says, you didn't leave a tip, are you gonna leave a tip? Now, I don't even want to leave you a tip just off of the strength that you even asked me if I was going to leave you one. But I did, so moving on. Now, yesterday, I go to get my hair braided by the African. I'm not going to name the name of the shop because I go there all the time. The lady asked me how I want to pay, cash or card. I said card. Mind you, I always pay card. I've never paid cash. She gonna tell me, no, we don't do cash payments. You have to use the ATM over there. Strike number 1, you lying in my face. You really just watched the person sitting next to me fill out their receipt for their payment, so I know for a fact you take cards. You just wanted cash. I go to the ATM that they have in the shop. It's a $2.50 transaction fee. The max limit that you can pull out of the ATM is $200. So now I have to make 2 transactions from this ATM to give you cash. For my first transaction, $200, the max that I can put, the max that I can take out. My next transaction, $140 because you can only do intervals of 20. Another $2.50 ATM fee. So I have now paid $5 in ATM fees. I gave the lady $3.20. I said, do you have change for this 20? Braiding assistant takes my 20 and says, make sure you leave her a tip. Who the fuck are you talking to, first and foremost? So she comes back, giving me change for my 20 with 2 $10 bills. Politely handed her that $10 bill to make my total $3.30, and I went about my way. Because first of all, I'm gonna tell y'all where y'all had me fucked up at. Number 1, because I was not pleased with the service. We'll make a part 2 on that. So no, I was not moved to give a tip. Let me tell you why I'm glad I did not leave a tip. Y'all, why today I wake up and I check my bank account, I have now 2 more charges on my bank statement for $2.50 each. Hold please. Now, I have blacked out the name of the salon that I went to just off of the strength that I would like to have a conversation with the owner first and see how this issue can be resolved. But anyway, as you can see here, $202.50, $142.50, $5 total for each of the 2 transactions that I had to make. Why do I wake up this morning and there's another $250 transaction and another one? So you mean to tell me I have now spent $10 in ATM fees to give somebody cash that lied to my face off of the fact that you guys do accept card and I know that? So moral of the story is tipping culture is out of hand. Don't nobody owe you shit.
I don't agree with the American tipping culture. I think it's not my responsibility as a customer that the people working there get paid a fair amount of money, a fair wage. That should be the responsibility of the people running the places, like the restaurant owner. So why is it my responsibility to make sure that the waiter who serves me gets paid a fair amount of wage for his work? And then also what I don't understand about the tipping culture is, like, when it has to be 20%, why does it differ if I'm ordering a more expensive meal? So when I'm ordering a $100 meal, then 20% of that would be $20, comparing to when I'm ordering a $20 meal, then 20% of that would be $4. So why should I need to pay so much more money in tip just because I order with a more expensive meal, but the work for the waiter doesn't change? So why suddenly am I required to pay so much more? That also doesn't make sense to me. To summarize again, I did tip in the US because also you guys explained me in the comment section, do as the locals do, but to be honest, I don't really agree with that.
It's always interesting for me to hear a foreigner's perspective on tipping. And when you hear them explain why they think tipping is ridiculous, they end up making a lot of sense. And it makes it that much more harder for an American to justify it to a foreigner. Because we just do it because we're used to it. But other cultures see it as a complete waste of money and or disrespectful as well. And plus, it's just your job. You applied, you got the job, and you're clocked in. And whoever hired you went over the pay with you before you agreed to accept the job offer. So a lot of people have a hard time accepting the fact that in order for me to get quality service, I have to pay extra for that on top of the food that may or may not be overpriced already. But instead of blaming the customer, you should be blaming whoever pays you so low. Or you could look in the mirror and blame yourself for even accepting a job like that. But let's not just take it from me, let's see what some other people have to say about it.
I hate tipping culture. Before you guys cancel me, hear me out. Don't apply for a job with the expectation that you're going to be tipped, and then when you're not tipped, get rude and snarky about it. And this is coming from a girl who tips 15 to 20% for any service that is given to me. And I will still admit that tipping culture is insane and it's getting out of hand. And it especially irks me when someone doesn't get tipped and then comes on the internet and complains about it as if the customer is your boss. Like, if you don't think you're getting paid enough, either talk to your boss or quit your job instead of just getting mad at customers wanting a service provided that you applied to provide. And here's my take on when tipping should be acceptable. I feel like if you go to a restaurant and they sit you down and you have a server, then you tip. But I feel like if it's just like a fast food place, then it isn't that necessary because all you're doing is taking my order and putting it into the system. And I'm astonished at the fact that some places literally make you put in your own order from a screen and then go ahead and have the audacity to ask for a tip. Like, who am I tipping, the iPad? I just put in my own order. I also hate when people in customer service act so annoyed when they just simply have to do their job. Like, have you seen that one video of the Starbucks barista? She made a video saying, for all the people who order their drink with no ice expecting to get more products, here's what I do. And then she proceeded to fill 3/4 of the cup up and just leave the rest empty. Like, I'm sorry, but the billion-dollar industry that you're working for could not care less about you, so why are you doing all of that for? And just, like, I hate when they have such a bad attitude. Like, you're just doing your job. You applied for this. We're not making you. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disregarding the fact that these people are getting underpaid. But if you're going to apply for a job, you know what they're going to pay. So don't get snarky at the customer. And in no way, shape, or form is this video about people who just complain about their job. I'm talking about the people who are rude to customers when they don't tip. Because tipping is not necessary. Like, stop acting like it is. Like, yes, you should tip. Don't get me wrong. I tip at least 15% anywhere I go. But don't get mad at people when they don't. Like, you don't know what's going on in their life. Maybe someone just wanted a $5 crumble cookie and they didn't have $6 to tip you $1. Why are you getting mad over $1? Like, you know what I mean? And you just never know what someone's financial situation is looking like, so don't get snarky or make someone's food bad just because they didn't tip. Like, you don't know what's going on in their lives. And sometimes people are just like pricks that don't like tipping when tipping is needed, but whatever. Let's also take into regard that some cultures actually find it disrespectful to tip, so don't just assume that the person is rude for not tipping. Maybe it's just their culture. Like, we need to stop judging. Okay, I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Bye.
You know tipping culture is bad in America when I have to go to custom tip and manually put 0. They are so petty that they will do anything in their power to make you start at 18%. And if you don't want to do that bullshit, you have to go to custom tip and manually type it. To whoever designed that thinking it would bring in more money, I can tell you right now that it's completely backfiring. I think most people would tip if it just started at 10 or 15%. But if you're starting your tip at 18% and you're making the page unskippable, I will gladly take the time to go to custom tip and put a fat fucking 0.
How do you come deliver someone's
What you mean
food
you're not
asking
giving
for
cash?
cash? Don't you work for a company?
I'm not asking for cash. I already told you in the app I need the cash. You messaged in the app, didn't you?
Why are you holding back? I paid for that pizza. Can you give me my pizza?
Yeah, you paid for it, but with a tip.
You know something I never got? When people get on here who work for tips tell you if you don't tip, you shouldn't be outside eating. Why in the fuck would I tip you at all and you're telling me what to do with my money? Do you all not understand how much you ruin it for people who don't say anything and they just do their job? When I see videos of people telling me to tip or else I shouldn't go out, now I'm definitely not gonna tip your hoe ass. I'm gonna do what I want to do with my money. If I feel like tipping, I feel like tipping. If I don't want to tip, I'm not going to tip. A tip is optional. A tip has always been optional. A tip is based off of your performance. You're not about to just get a tip for doing some lackluster shit and then you think, oh, well, I'm going to get paid on top of my already given check. No, nigga, get the hell out of my face and either do the job or get something that doesn't require tips. Fuck, nigga.
You just open the door, please.
No, tips, please.
No, I don't want to tip you. You just open
why?
the door.
No, this is a rule here in this country. You have to give me the tips.
No, it's not. I've never given any other Uber driver a tip. Look, I need to get out.
I don't care. I need tips because I give you that service. I drive from a long distance.
Well, it's not really been the best service. This car is a mess. And you're asking for a tip despite the fact of the mess.
Mrs. here, not there. You are okay. Your seat is clean. Here, don't look at it. Give me the tips, get it out.
Can't you just let me out? I have paid for this service.
No, you paid okay, you paid whatever, that will go to the company. I need tips for myself, okay?
I've paid for the ride.
I need tips, that is the rule. Do you understand? You are not understanding what I'm saying.
I have understood that you want a tip.
Yes.
But tips are optional. You don't
I
ask
know.
for
Who said
them.
it's optional? It's a mandatory in this country. You don't know the rules. You people are really, it's a problem. If you want taxi, you want a car ride, and you don't know the rule at all.
I have never ever paid for tips ever in my life.
I don't care.
I am here. I can see the building. People are waiting for me inside. Just let me out the car.
No. No.
This door will not open. I will break the window.
No way. I'll call the police. No way.
I will call the police because the fact that you're not letting
because the
me
rule
out.
is here. Police will support you. Police will support me. Do you understand?
You are holding me hostage
No,
in this car.
I am not holding. I am saying politely, madam, can you give me the tip? This is the rule of this country. Don't break the rule. Understand?
Yes, but you never explained that when I ordered the Uber.
No, I know it. You know it already. Okay, fine. I said last time, give the tips. Otherwise, just sit there and sleep. Okay?
No, because I need to be in this place. People are waiting for me inside.
People are waiting for me also. You know that I'll go somewhere else. I have to pick up somewhere, but I'm not doing also. I can't do that because of you. Why don't you understand?
Well, I'm pretty sure you're losing more money by waiting here asking for me to give you a tip.
I need tips. That's the rule. You need to pay. Then I'll allow you.
Okay, look, I need you to let me out of this car right now, okay?
No, I am not going to let out, bastard. Stop, stick here, pay the tips, go.
No, you are not listening to me. I need you to let me out of this car now. No.
Just sit there quietly. Shh, shh,
No,
shh.
no, I'm not taking this.
No,
I'm not taking this.
If you break, I'll call the police. Don't make a mess, okay? Sit here, stop, shh, calm down.
I
Give the
cannot
tips
believe you
and
right
go
now.
gently. No, don't create the scene, please.
No, I need to get out of this car.
I said don't create the scene.
I do
Just
not care.
sit there.
You're the one creating the scene, not me.
I am asking, it's a rule, give me the tips, then I'll allow you. No problem.
No, please. The door's not opening.
Oh, it don't open at either because I need tips. You need to give me the tips, yeah?
Could you just open the door, please?
No, tips, please.
Oh nah. Oh, I would have given her a crazy uppercut. Talking crazy like that? For a little what, $5? And you want to kidnap me too? Oh yeah, that's the easiest ass whooping I would have ever given out. Y'all comment below what y'all would have done to this lady if she tried to do this to y'all.
Racism is the reason tipping culture is so out of hand in the US, and it's why people can still be legally paid $2.13 an hour. After the Civil War and the end of slavery, black workers who were formerly enslaved were usually only able to get service jobs. Racist employers looking to exploit labor found a way to avoid paying black people any wages at all. They decided that customers could just tip them for their services instead of paying them themselves. From there, the use of tipping to pay workers became more and more common. Before the Civil War, tipping in the US was rare, and it definitely wasn't used to pay someone's entire wage. Then in the early 1900s, a bunch of employers who wanted to keep labor costs down and prevent workers from organizing formed the National Restaurant Association. Since then, they've lobbied Congress to exclude tipped occupations from minimum wage protections and later to establish a lower sub-minimum wage for tipped workers. That's why today, the federal minimum wage for tipped employees is just $2.13 an hour. Tipped workers are 2.3 times more likely to live in poverty than non-tipped workers, and they're more likely to be people of color, women of color, or single parents. They're also disproportionately born outside of the US. Tipping is still used as a way to exploit workers, squeeze more out of customers, and keep people, especially black and brown people, in poverty.
I bet you didn't know that, cause I didn't. But I'm glad I know now. And as a black man, I am deeply offended by tipping culture. And from now on, I'm gonna be protesting this with my wallet. But on a serious note though, tipping only exploits the customer and the worker, not the business owner, and definitely not the IRS. Because the business owner has an excuse to pay their workers 5 shillings an hour pretty much. And it gives the IRS more income to tax. Tipping is an agreement between the server and the customer. But those in control have found a way to butt themselves into an agreement that has nothing to do with them. And this specific Jedi mind trick only works if you trick the customer into believing that they're supposed to tip. But if we as the consumers decide to stop tipping or to tip less than we normally do, then the companies will be forced to pay their workers more. And that way, we the consumer don't feel pressured or obligated to pay the wages of the worker. And that way, things will finally start getting back to normal.
Do you think tipping culture has gotten out of hand? Hi customer, your ice cream is going to be $10. Tip is already included, cash or credit. Tip? But I just served myself. I filled up my own cup of ice cream, put toppings on, and I need to pay you 15, 20, or 25%? Well, it's the same thing as if I was a server. It's not. A server gets tips because they get paid a few dollars an hour and rely on tips. It counts as part of their income and they're required to report it to the IRS. Besides, you didn't give me any service, you just rang me up. So, what do you think about tipping culture nowadays? Do you tip even when a service hasn't been provided? Comment and let me know.
Tipping is out of control, and it's gotten so bad that many people in the United States have stopped tipping altogether. Oh, stick around because this story is crazy. Because in the United States, tipping has turned into a financial form of emotional blackmail, perpetuated by larger and larger companies that have no business even asking for tips. But they all want to get in on this cash grab. Because believe it or not, companies like Walmart have even been test piloting requests for tips at self-checkout kiosks in their stores. Like, no one's even doing work to be tipped. You bag your own stuff. You are doing all of the work, and then Walmart asks you to give them money for the pleasure of doing all of that. But this twisted state of where tipping is right now is just the tip of the iceberg. And tipping in 2023 might not be healthy for the economy or society at all. But in order to understand where we are, we gotta go back in time to the beginning and origins of tipping in the United States. And it all began in the early 1800s when wealthy Americans traveled to Europe. And it's there that they were introduced to the concept. Tipping originated in Europe as an exchange of money from master to serf, where masters would reward their servants with a little bit of extra coin for doing a good job at their job. And when wealthy Americans on vacation to Europe who observed this returned back to the United States, they brought this tradition of tipping with them as a flex.
Ah, yes, excellent work. Buy yourself something nice, peasant.
When this started in the early 1800s in the United States, it was seen as insulting. It was this thing that rich people did to flex on people lower than them, and it was done in bad taste. Sort of in the same way that rich people today post pictures on social media of them on their private jets, while at the same time lecturing us commoners about climate change. Everybody knows that it's cringe except for them. And it was the same thing with tipping back in the day. But despite its negative connotation, there's a reason that tipping took off in the 1800s. Because in 1863, a major change to the American economy made tipping the perfect loophole for businesses to continue saving on labor and avoid change. Because when the 13th Amendment was passed, millions of former slaves entered a workforce where opportunities were scarce to begin with, and former slave owners and their associates who didn't pay these people during the age of slavery weren't about to start paying them fairly now. So in an effort to quietly continue the practice of slavery, many institutions and businesses hired former slaves with ridiculously low wages plus the opportunity to accept tips. And this practice grew in popularity in the South until pretty soon the entire service industry jumped on the bandwagon, as businesses saw an opportunity to normalize extremely low wages for low-level positions with the expectation that the difference in these very low wages would be subsidized by you, the consumer, in the form of tips. And that tradition stuck. It's spread. And flash forward a few hundred years, now when we all go out to eat, we all know that our waiter or waitress isn't being paid well by their employer, and it's up to us to make sure that they get to eat. It's up to us as patrons to make sure that financial ends meet for the person who's waiting on our table. So unless you have exceptionally bad service and you actually see somebody spit into your food, you're gonna tip them. And that practice can be traced all the way back to the South in the mid-1800s, where former slave owners tried desperately to cling to free and cheap labor. And in 2023, businesses are still doing this, because the federal minimum wage for restaurant employees nationwide is only $2.13 per hour. Now, some states have passed laws to make this number higher, but many restaurants don't pay their staff livable wages. But it's allowed because those wages are supposed to be brought up by tips left by patrons. And we've all been conditioned to pay into this system. And now that it's a habit that's been ingrained for generations, more big businesses are tapping into Americans' tendency to leave tips, asking for tips when there is zero reason to leave one. I personally have been asked to tip for buying a bottle of water from my local sandwich shop. Like, that's the only thing I bought. I bought a bottle of bottled water, the guy reached behind him, handed it to me, and then spun the little iPad around to ask me a couple of questions. Like, what are we doing here? And now that everyone is asking for tips for every service that's rendered in our economy, it's becoming really easy to just not tip anywhere. Because Americans are officially in a state of max tip fatigue. And as more people move away from tipping, it hurts the people who need tips the most. The people waiting tables who are getting paid less than minimum wage by their employer. And the most frustrating thing about all of this is if you refuse to tip in 2023, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a terrible human being, because tipping feels so shady in so many circumstances. Because unless you can put hard cash into the physical hand of the person who helped you, there's no knowing whether or not that money is actually going to make it to them. If you tip on a digital screen, you have no idea whether or not the business itself is just taking that money for themselves. Just like Amazon got caught doing back in 2015. Almost a decade ago, Amazon had a program called Flex that allowed customers to leave tips for their drivers, and everybody loves their Amazon drivers. So people tipped, and they tipped generously. But those drivers didn't get the money because Amazon asked for those tips through their app, and the drivers had no way of knowing they were getting tipped in the first place. And Amazon kept $62 million that was intended for drivers, and they just use it for themselves. So when you're at your local restaurant and your favorite server gives you your food and they flip the little screen around to ask you a few questions, there's no way of knowing whether or not that person is actually getting the money that you intend for them unless you have physical cash. And all of this is why Americans are abandoning tipping. And what this means for the service industry as a whole is anybody's guess. So the question is this: when every single business out there is asking for tips, when is it appropriate to leave one? And when is it better to just hold on to your hard-earned money? What do you think?
Wow, just wow. Everyone get the hell out the kitchen, this guy's cooking. I mean, just knocked it right out the park. I don't think I could have possibly found a better video to end today's episode. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe, but most importantly, comment down below. I want to hear what you guys think. Everyone, please keep it respectful in the comment section. I created this channel as a way for people to be able to speak freely and have their voices heard. And I can't wait to hear what you guys have to say. And on that note, we're going to end it right here.